These are 10 things that you need to know about Affinity. These are tools and settings that are going to make your user experience even better. They'll help you work faster, cleaner, and more efficiently. Except for my bonus tip at the end. It's kind of chaotic, and I'm sure there's a better way of doing it. So make sure you stick around to the end and let me know what you think about it, good or bad. And all of these tricks apply to both Affinity Photo 2 and Affinity Designer 2 for the iPad. So let's get into the first one. The first one seems simple, but somehow it wasn't, at least not for me. And that's just creating a custom preset for a new document. I kept getting confused why the custom size I'd set to a new document wouldn't save. I select a new document, tap on the create custom size, and then set that custom size, but it wouldn't save it for the next time. So here's how to do that correctly. Tap on new document. First, I suggest creating a new category to keep all of your custom presets. Then with an existing default preset open, I suggest one that has similar settings to what you want to make. Enter the dimensions and the DPI settings that you want. I'm going to use 3000 pixels by 3000 pixels and 300 DPI, and I'm okay with these color formats. You'll see at the top there is an asterisk by the name. That's indicating there's been a change to the default settings to the preset that you selected. You don't want to hit OK. Instead, now's the time to tap on the custom document button at the bottom. Give it a name like what you intend to use the size template for. For me, this is going to be for seamless patterns. Then from the category chooser, tap on your new category that you made. Now tap on OK. Now this custom preset will be ready to go, and you won't need to retype in anything to get the size and resolution that you want. So nothing screams this is a beginner than seeing a project using standard, default, unexciting fonts. But it took me a bit to figure out how to import custom fonts. I came over to Affinity from Procreate, so I assumed that the process was the same, that you import a new font through a canvas that's already opened, but that's not the case. Let me show you the correct way to do it. From the home screen, tap on Settings, then simply go to Fonts. I didn't see this before, please forgive me. Tap on the plus, then locate the font that you want to import from your Files app. Select the font and then tap Open, and then it will import immediately. That one took me longer to figure out than I am willing to admit. So Affinity's interface is pretty clean, but I was getting a little too distracted from the command controller. If you want a little less visual noise and you don't use shortcuts a whole lot, it's good to know how to turn this command controller off. This little circle here is the command controller. It allows you to alter a current tool's behavior using modifier buttons, and some of us don't want or need this. So to turn it off, go up to the document menu and tap toggle command controller. At first I had no idea what this little circle was and I had to look it up. Yes, I'm embarrassed, and now you don't have to be. This next one is great for people who want to draw and paint digitally. When you're sketching on paper, you naturally turn the page to get a better angle, and you can do the same thing in design and art software too. Well, the first time I started using Affinity, I had a canvas that had this feature locked. I couldn't rotate my canvas, and I had to figure out how to unlock that feature. Not all documents default with rotation unlocked. So this is how you unlock your canvas. When you have a document open and it won't rotate, open up the navigator on the bottom right menu. When that opens, you'll see this little lock. Unlock it and then you're free. So next, we're going to talk about brushes. There is no denying that Affinity's brushes pale in comparison to Procreate's brush engine. But that's not to say that you still can't have a really great experience using Affinity's brushes. So the first thing that we can do in order to do that is create a new brush category that you can use to make a collection of default brushes that you actually like. Tap on the options menu in the Brush Studio and then tap Add Category. After you give it a name, you can find the brushes that you like, swipe left on them, then choose Copy To and choose your new folder. When you're working on a project and you want to stay in your custom category of favorite brushes, make sure you turn off Auto Switch Category from that menu. That way it won't switch back to the category that the brush originated from. And it's no secret, if you look at my channel, I love making Procreate brushes. And it was immediately clear to me that I was not gonna have the same experience with brushes in Affinity that I had in Procreate. But there was no way that was gonna stop me from creating my own custom brushes in Affinity. Affinity gives you a few options on the types of brushes that you can make, but I'm going to show you how to make a custom art brush with a custom shape and texture. But I have a few words of warning first. When you open the Brush Studio menu and you create a new image brush or a new brush from selection, which would be a brush made from the selection on your canvas, the brush will only paint in the original color of the image that you use. So if the image was fully black, it's only going to ever paint black. And if it's white, you're never going to see it because the background of your artboard is white. To create your own art brush that can paint in any color, you'll need to choose New Intensity Brush. The next thing is the type of image that you can choose from. First of all, the images will need to be saved to your Files app on your iPad. If you want a clean shape to make your brush from, you'll want the images to be a true black and the background should be a pure white. If it's gray or on the gray scale, there's going to be some transparency to your brush. The texture grain can be high contrast black and white or anywhere on the gray scale. I just suggest that it be as seamless as possible. So let's create a brush. So in the Brush Studio, tap on New Intensity Brush. It will automatically have you choose a brush shape first. So choose the image from your Files app that you want to base your brush off of. So the first setting that I suggest is if you want to get a smoother edge on your brush, set the spacing to 1%. The rest of the settings are fine just as default. Under Dynamics, if you want this to be a calligraphic brush, you can set the size all the way up to 100% or anywhere in between, but setting it to 0% is just going to be the same size, whatever pressure that you use. And depending on the shape and what you want out of your brush, play around with these other settings, but a basic brush can just have these all set as default. Then on the Texture tab, you can import an image in the base texture section. So tap on Set Texture and choose the one that you want from your Files app. I like to change the mode to nozzle, and you can adjust the scale of your texture to your liking. Then once you like all of your settings, now is a good time to go back to the General tab and give it a name, and then tap Save. Unfortunately, you can't add any metadata like creator name, so this is not ideal for sharing or selling brushes like you can do with Procreate. But you can still make some pretty cool brushes. So now that you know how to make a custom art brush, let's go ahead and make a custom stamp brush, just because it's fun. So create your image and then save it to your Files app. Tap on a New Intensity Brush and choose your image. Under spacing, go all the way up to 200%. You want hardness, flow, and accumulation all set to 100% as well. For this one, you do not need a texture, and just give it a name and use it like a stamp. Simple as that. So while we're on the subject of brushes, let's talk about stabilization. You may have noticed when making brushes, there are no stabilization settings. So if you want to adjust the stabilization and motion filtering of your paintbrush, you'll need to switch to Window Stabilizer at the top. And then on this slider down here, switch Width to Window, and then adjust the slider until it stabilizes your brush stroke how you like it. This next one is about clipped layers and how to merge them down. When you're using Affinity Photo 2 for illustration and painting, you'll likely be using clipped layers with blending modes. If you want to flatten your base color with any clipped layers, like if you added shadows or highlights, don't make the same mistake I did and think choosing merge layers will work. That doesn't merge the clipped layer to the main layer. It will merge the main layer to the next main layer. Instead, choose your layer with the clipped layers, then go to the three-dot menu and choose Rasterize. And now your base color and shading are now one pixel layer. There's only a few options for making color palettes. It's either import an existing color palette or use the color picker to choose your colors manually, but the way I'm going to show you is my favorite way. So first, I'm going to insert an image that has the colors I want. So I'll go to the document menu, tap on place, and then insert my image. First, you'll need to rasterize your picture so Affinity can pick up the colors that you want. Now I just need to pick the swatches. To do that, open up the Color Studio and switch to Swatches at the bottom. Tap on the three lines for the options and then choose Add Document Palette or Application Palette. The Application Palette will make this available on other projects as well. Now you can use this color picker to hover over each color. Once the color picks up, you'll need to tap on the color next to the picker so it's in focus, and then tap on the options and then choose Add Current Fill to Palette. And just keep doing that until you've got all your colors, and then use your palette as you need. So now here is the bonus trick. So if you're also a Procreate user, you're probably familiar with the reference layer tool. Reference layers are great for like color filling a project. You can set a layer as a reference and then color fill below it, and then your original line art is untouched. but you've probably been disappointed that Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer don't have this feature for pixel-based images. But if you want a quick and easy way to do it, I found two chaotic, completely unprofessional ways to do it, so hold on tight. The first way is to choose an image of black line art and create a new pixel layer below it. Then select the line art layer and turn on the flood select tool and change the top menu to add. Now tap each section you want filled. With those selected, go to the new blank pixel layer and turn on the flood fill tool. Now tap on the selected areas. From the top menu, tap deselect, and now these spots are filled and your line art is unchanged. The next way is way crazier. So clip a new layer to your line art layer. Turn on the flood fill tool, and from the top menu, change it to layers beneath and turn on contiguous. Now tap on each section. It will look like nothing has happened on screen, but in the layer stack, you can see the shape of the fill on your clipped layer. So when you're done, unclip that layer. And again, these spots are filled and your line art is unchanged. Or just use Procreate for this. I don't think Affinity was meant to be used this way. It was just a silly experiment that I wanted to try. So those were my 10 tricks that took me from feeling totally lost in Affinity to finally feeling like I know what I'm doing. Maybe you found some helpful, or maybe you knew about all of these already. Either way, thank you for watching, but if you're curious about what else Affinity can do, especially if you came over as a Procreate user, I have a whole video breaking 5 powerful tools that Affinity has that Procreate doesn't, and how they can seriously level up your creative workflow, and it is right here.